Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I have no idea how to start this video, so you better buckle up because I have a lot of information to throw at you guys about the new exotic of warlocks, BALLIDORSE WRATHWEAVERS. I have previously done two videos testing this exotic in which I have said some things that are not correct anymore for some reasons that I will mention and say in this video after doing damage testing, a lot more math with a lot of players in the last sector and in the dungeon. I have finally come to the conclusion, and I hope from the bottom of my heart that this video will answer all of your questions about the damage increase and will let you have some more new questions. So let's start from zero for people who haven't seen my two previous videos. So the exotic perk says your Winter's Wrath shockwave deal increased shatter damage. I have tested this. The shatter damage goes up by 100% fix, and the overall super damage goes up by an average of 89% up to sometimes more than 100%, but that's not consistent. It was average 89-90% more damage for all the super, where things get very confusing, very complicated, and very buggy. Allies in range of your shockwave gain an overshield. So the overshield is around 100 HP, we have tested, and increased damage with stasis weapons. So the increased damage is 15%, and everyone knows and agrees that the bonus in damage is 15%. But the question is, does this increasing damage stack with surges? Does it stack with Well of Radiance? So we have done a lot of testing, and let me tell you, there is a bug. And I stand my ground on my previous video where I said it does stack with Well of Radiance and it gives you even more than that. That's a case, and I have a footage. So bear with me and I will show you all the numbers and I will show you all the tests. So here's my notepad and I have 3 tests to show you. I will be adding some background footage when I edit so you guys will not get bored. So for the first test, I have done it with Archer. He had Herat C on. So first he created Carl, he did 1800 base damage. I gave him the bonus with my super. He did this number, which is a 15% increase. He saw this number on the screen, and when we do the math, base damage times 1.15, we get this number. So this is theoretical, and this is what we see on the screen. They match perfectly with some rounding, so it's all good. So then he popped his own Well of Radiance with the buff active, and he did this damage number. The math behind this damage number is the base times 1.25 equals 2253. So by looking at this, you might think that the buff from the exotic does not stack with Well of Radiance, because only the buff from Well of Radiance here is applying. The stronger buff takes over the small buff. We tried both ways and it did not stack. Popped my super, gave him the stasis buff, and he popped his Well of Radiance. He only did the same amount of damage, and we did the opposite. He popped well, then I popped my stasis super, and he kept doing this same amount of damage. So this means that they do not stack, but wait, hear me out, there is a lot more. During this testing, he had Arc Surge mod on, and he was using a stasis weapon. My theory is that where you have surge mods equipped, they won't let this stack. More on this later in the final testing. So we've done the second test, but this is like version 1 of the second test. So here I have done this test with Zen, good Warframe content creator. He plays Destiny 2. He was using Reed's Regret with his Warlock. So at base, he was doing 47,731 damage with no buffs whatsoever. This is at base. So then he popped his own Well of Radiance and he started doing 59,663. So with the math, Well of Radiance is a 25% increase. If we do the math, base damage times the multiplier equals, this is the theoretical number, and it matches the number he saw on the screen perfectly with some rounding. So after that, we resetted the last sector. He put 2 stasis surge mods on. He got charged, he got armor charged, and he hit Carl to the head, and he did 55,000 with 2 surge mods. 2 surge mods are a 17% damage increase. So if we do the math, the base damage times 1.17, which is the multiplier, equals this number, which matches the number he saw on the screen perfectly. So here we added BALLIDORSE to the equation from here and on. So here he had 2 surges, and then I popped BALLIDORSE on him. It did
64,221.
64,000, which is higher than the previous one, which let us say and confirm directly that the surge mods will stack with the buff from BALLIDORSE. 100% it's confirmed. So the math behind this number 64,000 is very easy. The base damage times 1.17 for 2 surge mods times 1.15 from BALLIDORSE. My exotic, it does 64,222, which low-key matches the number he saw on the screen with some rounding. It's very, very close. So here we agree and we can confirm that BALLIDORSE damage increase will stack with 2 surge mods, period. Then he proceeded to pop his own Well of Radiance, and he shot Korg to the head, and he did 6.
Yeah, and then all super. 69,806. Yeah, that stacked even higher.
69,806. So this is with everything together. The math behind this is base damage times 2 surge times Well of Radiance. So from here we can conclude with certainty that surge mods stacks with the buff. Surge mods stack with Well of Radiance, but the surge mods, the buff will not stack with Well of Radiance. So if you have the buff with surges, Well of Radiance will take over the buff and still stack with surges. If it did all stack, it will be the base damage number times 2 surges times Well of Radiance times BALLIDORSE. If it did stack, we would have seen 80,000, but it did not stack. So if you have surge mods, like if you have stasis surge mods, you get BALLIDORSE, it will stack, but not with Well of Radiance. So here we did test 2.2. The same with the same person. With here, I still did this with Zen. He had no surge mods equipped. Here's what's buggy. This is why I got the results that I have gotten in previous video. So he popped well, and I gave him the buff. He did 71,596. We do have the footage, and I will put it in the background. You can clearly see this damage number. So here I put some question mark. How did we get this damage number, and how? Like why? So it is the base damage number from here up top. I copied it and pasted it here, times the Well of Radiance times 1.2. As I mentioned in my previous video, I said when it stacks with Well, it gives you a bonus. It is not stacking properly. This is exactly what I have talked about in my previous video. Like sometimes it doesn't stack, but when it does stack with Well of Radiance, especially when you don't have surge mods equipped, it doesn't stack properly. It gives you 5% more. So it is doing the same bug with Well of Radiance from my previous video. So I can come clear, I can stand my ground that I did not put some random numbers and I did not make a random ass video to just get views. I did the test and it did this to me again. So I am very thankful that I got the same bug of damage number, so I can cleanse my reputation. So finally we have done a third test. It is the same test but with another player, just to confirm. So the base damage was 34,989. With 2 surge mods he did 51,000. That's a 17% increase. I did the math to confirm. Base damage times the multiplier equals this number, which matches exactly what he have seen on the screen. So then he had 2 surge mods and I gave him the buff with BALLIDORSE. And here is the math. Base damage times 2 surge times BALLIDORSE. This is the theoretical number. It's very weird, but it matches perfectly the number he have seen on the screen. Finally, he had 2 surge mods, the buff from me and Well of Radiance, and he have done 64,063. So that's perfectly the base damage times 2 surge times Well of Radiance. It does not stack. The buff stack with surges but does not stack with Well of Radiance. But the buff will stack with Well of Radiance sometimes with an extra bonus if you don't have any surges equipped, as you saw from my test 2.2. And here I have a lot of questions about this from here. So that's it basically for my results. The conclusion is I don't know what's the bug exactly. Either it was not supposed to stack and then it was stacking, so Bungie tried to bring it back and it's now even more bugged, or it was intended to stack and now it is not stacking properly, because in my previous testing it did stack instantly. In my second testing today, it did not stack all the time. It's like one of like 10 tests when it's stacked. So it's very, very weird, but it still stacks. Sometimes we have evidence. So I hope Bungie will answer this question. For my personal opinion, I think that it was supposed to stack. You can see right here from this picture on Destiny 2 data compendium on the exotic armor description, they said that the buff is supposed to stack with everything, including Well of Radiance. Why it is not stacking now? It might be a bug. I don't know. Because people who made this site do testing like myself. I have one request. Please back me up in the comments if you have done the testing and found out that it does stack sometimes. Let us know and tell us why it stacked for you, or what have you done exactly so it did stack for you, and tell us what day exactly when you did the test, because day 1 it was stacking 100%. Now it's like day 6, it's not stacking properly, it's like 10%. This can be amazing for day 1 raid. The stasis warlock can pop his super before damage phase, so he only have like 1 second of his super still up when damage phase starts, so he can freeze and shatter the boss. He give 15 seconds of damage buff to his teammates, and he can also DPS and still give the buff to his teammates. Back me up in the comments. Please leave a like. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe. See you on my next one.